2019, the number of women that have died from femicide is 506.
They found that her body was dismembered, head decapitated off, joints disarticulated at the hip joint.
This is how the story goes. Now, Dr. Laban Langat is a graduate of Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, School of Medicine, and his body was found inside the hospital.
But what happens to them that influences them being murderers down the line?
Now, whatever we do mention here does not necessarily mean if you do see it in an individual, it will automatically mean this person will become a serial murderer or a femicide offender in the future. It's just signs that are indicative, danger signs that might need to be addressed in children for the long.
There's a thing I saw. I think it was Iman Gadhi saying that if your resolutions pass, the death of your resolutions inakwanga 17th of January. So he ended up posting a video 2 days before 17th of January. I think it was 14th or 15th. He posted a video telling people that your consistency should have started before the 17th. If it doesn't, your year is off.
Hakuna haraka. Kuna the Islamic calendar pia. The year is young in the Islamic calendar.
Islamic calendar tuko katikati.
Next year pia is
Ramadan is coming.
Yeah, Ramadan's around the corner.
And how many days?
Around 60. 2 months. Around
2 months.
Probably March.
Hopefully Mwenyezi Mungu atufikishe huko salama.
Dr. Elias, now the reason for our gap was because we were getting ready for some high level.
We had to do a little bit of work. Yeah,
mashallah.
Behind the scenes.
Mashallah.
Behind the scenes, a lot of progress, and hopefully we are aiming to have a very, very good year.
And we are now on Spotify.
Oh yeah.
And then you must keys. If you don't want to see our faces, it's fine.
Yeah.
You can go and just listen.
Now you know.
Nataka kuona sura zetu.
I never know. You never know.
Niggas. I know it's the no homo element. Go listen.
Brethren wanataka kutuona.
Cool.
Yeah.
So today we have a very interesting topic.
Kuna watu hawatujui maybe like there's some new people who are going to be logging into this channel, or they might come across some of our videos.
Before we get to serious business, let's introduce our pretty faces.
Yeah. This is a pretty face. We're gonna hard face.
Sura ya kazi.
Sura ya kazi.
No one here has a pretty face.
Unaribu lakini kweli.
Yes, assalamu alaikum. We are Laughing Lab Coat. We are medical officers, doctors based out of Nairobi, Kenya. Gen Z doctors, millennial doctors, we cut across. Zillennials, yes. And the main aim of us creating this channel is for us to be able to give back to our people, create a community, give out education, teach you about common conditions. We talk about trending stuff in the medical field. We talk about new discoveries, lifestyle, nutrition, and so on. So if you're new to this channel, please follow us on YouTube, subscribe, like, share. And also we are on all streaming platforms, audio streaming platforms right now, Apple Music, Spotify. Check us out, man. Yeah, give us a shout out as well. See you.
Lazima.
Yeah, so introduction, starting from our right.
You know, the man, the myth, the legend, Dr. Dimple right here representing.
I'm a man of very little words. Dr. Muhyiddin, Dr. Mu. That's it.
Ilyas Mohammed.
It's good to be back.
Good to be back.
Alhamdulillah.
Happy New Year. It's a bit late, but better late than never, yeah?
Resolution zetu zinaanzanga February.
Inshallah.
New Year, it's hard to cut off like people who say, I'm going to change, this is my year. And then February tarenne, I already failed my resolutions, maybe.
No pressure.
What are your resolutions for the year? Do you guys have any resolutions?
Actually, I was at work on the 31st of December. Now, to console myself, because it was an emergency placement, I hadn't planned. What I did was get serious with my life, then failed at those resolutions soon after, just like Imam Ghazi said, mine are dead and buried, so I won't talk about something that is in the past.
We know, but at least we are alive.
That's what counts, Allah.
Our topic for today, there's been a lot of new happenings within our society, Kenyan society. New murders, a streak of murders that have been happening all around the country, but many have been in Nairobi.
Yes.
But including the roysambu one and the death
Predominantly our young women.
There's one hapa karibu, Starlet Wahu, Sister Pastor Kayari. Like it's been this one in like 1 month. Very close by to one another. So it had to warrant a conversation.
2024 was supposed to be our year, but the year started off from like death.
And among the people who were murdered was one of our colleagues, one of the most brilliant minds that have come out of JKUAT Medical School, Dr. Langat. May he rest well. We need to talk about it, and we need to analyze it from a scientific point of view, from a medic's point of view. What is the psychology? What are the psychiatric traits and behavioral traits that are behind this?
Yes, what can cause someone to take that step to go and actually take someone's life? What will push you to that?
I think before we all rush to talk about Dr. Langat's unfortunate event or circumstance, and Rita Waeni and Starlet Wahu, I think we should look at the numbers generally over the years. Statistics. I like
epidemiology.
Patrick B. David is all about numbers. So if you show him that there's a thing, so it's maybe these three Ninis are the ones which hit the limelight.
But there have been
more,
many.
but there have been more behind the scenes. And there's a graph I sent you some time back. Jana Juzi.
Check it out. I think ni Jana.
There's a graph. It shows murder rates in Kenya from the stats shows from 2004 up to 2023, I think 2024. 2004 it was calm. Obviously murder would still be there, but you'd see that the graph has a steady line. It comes to 2008 post-election violence, spikes. And then you give it a little bit more time, it drops. 2010, 2011, it drops. And then you come back to 2018, 2019, 2020, time of Corona. So there was like a triggering factor behind it. And then it shoots. The level of which it was at in 2008, I think, was 52%. 52% increase in murder rate. It's like last year ilikuwa this amount, this year it increased. So this is the percentage increase.
So 52% increase in 1 year.
Yes, now from the 2007, 2008, 2009, that was like the steady state increase. Alafu you come to time ya Corona, it didn't really hit the post-election numbers. But it is very close. This one is 52. I think this one is 48, if I'm not wrong. We'll share the graph
statistics,
so that people can appreciate it. And the source, I think, is, I'm not sure, World Bank. We should have to cite.
That's numbers in terms of homicide.
Now, for femicide, there was a recent numbers post by, I think, Citizen, stating from 2018 the number of women that have died from femicide is 506 from 2018, the number of reported cases. The ones that the murders have been solved, I can't tell because I didn't go deep into those numbers, but that's a huge number. And it shows there is a societal aspect to it.
Are these murders related? Is it like a serial killer kind of profile or just like one-off homicide?
I think that's something we should do some research on. I feel that is a topic that actually requires scientific research and data analysis.
I sent you a tweet, and it's by Kenya Statistics, I think. Not sure, I can't remember the name. They said that to fully say that femicide, we know that women are the victims, but is it another woman who did it? Is it something that is behind? Is it just at the intent of killing a woman because she's a woman, or because there was a reason behind it? So we cannot just justify any reason for murder, but still. And
what was the trigger?
That was the trigger. And then the other interesting fact is, yes, majority of men are the perpetrators. Women also have perpetrators amongst them, but there are children also who are involved who are murdered. And the perpetrators for children's death, according to this statistic, is more of women than men.
Masten Wanjala comes to mind when you speak. Masten Wanjala, you remember him? He's the one who was killing children and dumping their bodies in pit latrines.
Yeah.
Kenya, on our side, Kenya P has had like a number of high-profile serial killers.
Yes, the thing is, they have been high profile, but they've been few and far between. Now, though, the numbers are getting crazier.
Crazy. Such a wrong way to start off 2024. Government unatandika huku, raia wanatumaliza huku.
You have no peace, both ends. Hauna amani.
So today we'll be talking about the psychology of murder. We will look at the unfortunate circumstances of majorly the two ones, which we very relate with because it's our colleague, Dr. Langat.
It's very unfortunate.
Yes, and the Rita Waeni. Unfortunately, she has been. People are. How can I say this? Saying bad words about someone who has gone. You know?
Victimization of the victim.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
One close person to me told me that they've stopped calling them victims, they're calling them survivors, but that's more related to, I think, violence rather than murder. But I think for Rita's case, I think we should dissect both of them individually to be able to tell what exactly happened from a doctor's point of view, so that the audience can truly understand the terms that were being displayed in the media platforms trying to explain what this was.
So we start with Dr. Langat. Dr. Langat is our colleague. It's unfortunate, especially considering the circumstances in which his death happened at his place of work. Very, very, very brutal death.
And his body was found inside the hospital
to make it worse.
Now, this is how the story goes. Now, Dr. Laban Langat is a graduate of Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, School of Medicine. From his colleagues, who one of them is a very close friend of mine, Imran, you know him, mentions that he was one of the most brilliant students that had come out of JKUAT School of Medicine. He used to educate his classmates. He used to educate his fellow schoolmates in nursing and in pharmacy. Now, he graduated, I believe, last year, and he was posted for his internship at Nakuru PGH. Now, how the story goes is that this young man was working in the mother and child department of the PGH, which is a specific block on its own. He was doing his night shift. And you know, when you're doing night shift, sometimes there are breaks in between where you go for a change of clothes, for dinner.
Chai kidogo.
Lap kidogo, mechi kidogo. So he left at night.
Football, yeah, not mechingin.
We don't play other games. Now, he left the hospital, went to his place to do whatever of his social things he does in between his breaks of the shifts. And now he came back, because how do people know that he came back to the hospital before his murder? The last message on his phone was an M-Pesa message that he sent to a border guy. That means he went home and came back.
And Alifika
Hospitali. So it confirms that the murder happened within the hospital. From the timelines, wanasema by saa tano, I'm not sure of the timeline specifically there, saa tano usiku, alirudi nyumbani. Alirudi hospitali, I apologize. Venye alirudi hospitali now, that's the last contact anyone had with him. Now, the interesting thing about that is when this murder was happening, it happened in hospital facilities. And another interesting thing, the CCTV was off when the DCI on that specific night.
Wait. How do we know that this CCTV is not for show?
That's the interesting part. It's never been off. But then that night, the CCTV was off. That's where the first fishy step comes in. Why was it off on that night alone? What was happening that hospital staff were involved in that made them switch off the CCTV on that particular night?
Was there a motive? What was the motive behind his murder?
That's the thing. Nobody knows till now.
Did he know something he was not supposed to
Maybe he saw something he was not supposed to see. Maybe he was at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Very, very, very sad death.
so that happens. The next morning, they find this young man in a ditch. His face is planted deep into the ditch. His legs are hanging out from the ditch. So they find him there, dead. If you see that photo, it was on Twitter. The most gruesome way to die for a young doctor ever. like in a ditch,
While-
alone in the cold, in the rain,
while in service.
while in service to
and
his
you
people.
just started out your like medical career.
Umeanza kuonja hiyo pesa, umeanza
Yeah.
kuonja the results of your endeavors, giving back to your community in the way you do. So they found this young man dead in a ditch, the most ironic way to die. They took him to the mortuary.
He had
and
everything, every personal belonging of his.
Yes.
He had it.
They had it on him. So waliangalia simu, wakaona M-Pesa messages. So he had his purse on him. So he wasn't robbed.
Okay.
He had his person on
So
him.
it was a proper murder, nothing
Yeah.
like theft or
Yeah.
aggravated. You know.
Nah.
Tell us a bit about the injuries that were found on him.
Yeah, so they did a postmortem. The postmortem is public knowledge. So whatever I'm going to share with you
It's already
is in
out
the
there.
public domain. It is nothing for secret or for hiddens. Now, the diagnosis of death is asphyxia secondary to manual strangulation. So this man was strangled to death.
Alinyongwa
Hadi
akakosa
akadedi.
upepo.
Lakini before anyongwe, what happened? Because now they did, when you do a postmortem, it's head to toe, just like how you analyze your patient when they come to you. But now the beauty of a postmortem is it's head to toe, then they go inside to your internal organs. They check your skull, your brain, your facial bones, all the way down. Now, this is what they found. Number one, bruises on the neck area,
Okay.
which means he was hit on the neck, whether with boots, whether with
Posterior aspect kutoka nyuma.
posterior and anterior, all over the
Okay.
neck. They had 5 bruises on the zygoma. So this means he was hit or punched or a blunt force trauma with whatever tool the murderers were using on his face. Okay, let's continue. Hematoma of the pharynx. So he was hit on the neck and the strangulation might have
Will contribute
contributed
to the
to that.
hematoma. Hematoma ni damu
Yeah.
ika
Blood collection.
collect mahali.
Clot. Deep injuries on the lumbar area bilaterally. So mse inamaanisha aligeuzwa akagongwa mgongo pia. Or there were multiple people involved in his murder, people who are attacking him from the front and from the back, which is a very, very
Feasible.
possible.
It's very feasible.
Let's continue. Deep crush injury on the lower lip suggestive of a blow with high enough force. So aliraruka hadi lip.
Lips.
Temporal soft tissue hematoma with attendant temporal contusion. So this man was hit so hard on the side of his head that he got a hematoma on the skull, temporal side, as well as a contusion on the temporal lobe. That's how strong the hit was.
It was,
So hiyo huwezi tumia mkono kumgonga na kitu
it was a
kaya.
high energy impact.
Occipital lobe contusion and a frontal countercoup lesion. For those people who don't understand that, umse aligongwa na nguvu kwa kisogo hadi alipata injuries to the frontal lobe.
Yeah.
Ushaipigwa hadi brain yako inagonga huku mbele.
Yep.
Na huku mbele juu imegonga inaanza kupata injuries.
Yeah.
That's how bad it was. Bruises on the dorsal aspect of the hands, bilateral suggestive of blows. So mse alipigwa mkono, aligongwa mkono, hadi pia kuna scars on his hands. Not scars of
Was it
Was
possible
like
hitting
a fight?
no,
like fight back?
he was hit on it.
Okay. So
Oh, so it might be a fight
Might
back,
be a fight back, yeah.
or he might be hit. It might be both. So look at all these injuries. You can't tell me these are not signs of a murder, brutal murder. So a lung contusion, 6 by 8 centimeters. That's huge. From a drowned or a fall.
do they specify which lung?
No, they did not specify which lung. Neck injury in a hidden area. And lungs are clear. There are no fractures of congestion. So they weren't fractured. But they were hit so hard that they got a contusion.
Contusion, yeah.
So that's a summary of his
Was there
postmortem.
hematoma? Like
In
the
the lungs.
hemothorax?
Hemothorax, no.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's a breakdown of a summary of his postmortem.
So these people who have probably committed this murder, are there any like leads, or this matter is still under investigation? We don't know anything about it.
Like it's a dead end. The DCI said they'd pick it up. When did they say they'd pick it up? After all the doctors in Nakuru PGH laid down their tools before even demonstrating. Say nobody's going to work, and they all went to the governor's office. That's how much it takes to investigate the murder of a young, brilliant doctor.
Yeah.
So if people went on with their business, it'd be like to whomever they own.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hopefully, the perpetrators of that are brought to book and justice is served for the Dr. Langat, and security provided to
Healthcare workers. I don't feel safe going to work now. I'm not safe at my best place of work.
Yeah. And
I think-
you're supposed to serve the public.
Especially in public hospitals. You know, public hospitals are huge. Like if you've been to Mbagathi, Kenyatta, kuna kona mingi unaweza finywa ndugu yangu.
This reminds me of a story in a public hospital back then when we were in Uganda. Took you a place called Hoima. Hoima is the border town of Uganda and Congo, DR Congo. So kuna kwanga na refugee camp near there. This one day, a patient was brought in and she had a uterine rupture. And she was, 38 weeks pregnant. 38 weeks, if I remember. It was some 2019. So it's a while back. And then, unfortunately, the young lady passes because of hemorrhage, PPH. So the family come and they wanted to attack everyone who was in the theater, and they wanted to kill the main doctor
doctors
who was
and
performing the procedure. So you're in a public hospital, you're in a place that's supposed to be secure, but your security is not guaranteed. So is that the same that is happening now?
Before that, there's the CS for Health Nakumicha. There was a certain incident as well in Kisumu where one of the nurses was violated by relatives or a patient flani.
Oh,
What do you mean by violated? Alivunjwa?
Yeah,
that girl who was shouting and they brandished out a gun.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, them nasikia herself, she's a healthcare worker.
I'm surprised.
Allegedly. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was chased away from, which school is it? Karen.
I don't
Karen
know,
Nursing School.
but it's a
Karen
nursing
Hospital,
school,
yeah. One of these private
Rocking
hospital
a
nursing.
gun in a hospital. I think like
wewe unafanya kazi yako alafu mtu anakutolea gun. What do you think?
And you see, the problem too, if you've been to public hospitals, they're extremely understaffed. So unaweza pata daktari moja is dealing with 150 inpatient and 100 outpatient. How will you physically and humanly handle such a burden? Na huo governor anaendesha Range Rover, mtoto wake anaendesha V8, his grandson is driving a Supra.
to make it worse is it's not that there are no available people to do the job.
Tuko wengi.
Watu wako.
Kwa ground tuko wengi, lakini
ground
hakuna mtu
watu
anapeana kazi.
To make it worse is how many times umeambiwa brother lipa hii do upate hii job.
Siku hizi that's like a requirement for you to get a job in the government.
And requirement
I've been a victim, you've been a victim, majority of us. And when you're out of internship, I think people know you're job hungry. They know you've saved a little bit.
You're desperate.
So ile pesa umesave, wewe mentality yako is I need another gig, I need another spot to work. And then you go fork out your dough, imeenda hivyo.
Wanakuexploit hivyo.
You've been exploited. I think so many doctors should now speak up about this as well, because it's part of the problem.
Telling the union, man, like 4,000 plus of us unemployed.
Our union is dead. I will not lie when I say that. I will not hide it.
It's like a body that is just there to
Enrich a couple individuals.
The union's leaders themselves. So if now going on to the next victim, Rita.
Yeah.
You have some bit of information regarding her as well, her murder.
Postmortem.
Yes, postmortem report.
Okay, so here goes. Source is from Tuko Kenya. I have to cite you. I love your videos. You're doing an amazing job, by the way.
Tuko Kenya, we appreciate you.
So Rita was a 20-year-old student. Again, JQuat.
What's up with JQuat? My people are JQuat. Comment.
Questions. Question marks. Big ones. Capital question marks, if there's such a thing. And she was lured, okay, through Instagram. And ended up being kidnapped, per se, through that lure text, and akapatikana huko roysambu. To make it look a little bit fishy and stuff is that the father receives a text at around 5 a.m. asking for a ransom of 500,000 shillings within 24 hours for her to be released. And this thing happened on 14th January, which was on a Sunday. So time text imekuja is on Sunday. Time ambayo body imepatikana, I think, is relatively around the same time, the same day. Okay? So, and no one noticed anything until the caretaker was busy like trying, so unajua Airbnbs ile umetoka nini yako naingia.
Can I ask you something? So you're telling me this murderer sent a text after he had already killed and dismembered her?
The text is at 5 a.m. The body is found later during the day.
Okay.
So
but he had already killed her.
But he
aliona do kumkatakata hivyo.
Aliona do haikam. Akaamua, let me finish. Let me kill her.
Do you think so? Because if you look at kidnappers, majority of the time, if they
have motive
ask
to
for
do
the
such
money,
they wouldn't rush to.
Yeah, they wouldn't rush to do.
Jumempea 24 hours to respond.
Now, I'll just give you the full story as per Tuko's report. Yeah, they found that her body was dismembered, head decapitated off, joints disarticulated at the hip joint. But the people who are doing it, there's a way you do a disarticulation. Them
by disarticulation, disarticulation.
Or like unatoanisha a joint from its place where it's in the socket. Okay, so this lady, may the family forgive us if this is too graphic, and any member in the audience who is listening to this and it's too graphic, apologies. And there were incisions, only kata part of the thighs, relatively clean incision. So an incision ni kukatwa, and they went with inaitwa nini, this electric saw. I'm assuming it's an electric saw because the neck of the femur was cut clean. Then to make it even more descriptive is that the person who was doing it, they tried to make it look like a kidnapping, but in real sense it wasn't. And they tried to pluck off the areas where we can access the DNA of this lady. So they were trying to pitana fingernail zake, head gone. We don't know if it's a trophy, collection, we never know. And the perpetrator alishikwa.
Yeah. Kuna comments by the senior government pathologist, Dr. Johansen Oduor.
Yes.
He has been in this pathology field for over the last 20 or so years. And in his words, he said he's never seen anything like this.
New levels. And to show you that it might be not someone of Kenyan origin, is this person who's doing it is very experienced based on the level of precision.
Yeah.
The precision of the incision cuts, the precision of how he cuts off the head of the femur with clean and efficient technicality. It's not someone who's done this once.
This was someone who was using machines. But kama anatumia hiyo so at 5 a.m. in the morning, hakuna nasikia hiyo.
Lazima isikike.
Yeah. Anyway, now the government has said all Airbnbs to put on
cameras.
Yeah.
Very important.
Zitakuwa ndani ya nyumba ama zitakuwa nje?
Ni nje. Ndani ya nyumba si gava atafungua tu Pornhub account.
Wapate tax hapo. Hiyo pesa wanataka tax wachukue huko.
Tax ideas. Come to us. Mawalalo, kazi ni biashara, kila kitu nafikiria point of view.
Yeah. And I think it's very unfortunate for Kenyans with the rise of these murders. And the families are going through, I cannot imagine what they're going through.
It's hell. And the women of our society,
the women in our society
are feeling unsafe. Our women are feeling so unsafe, and their mothers, our sisters, our daughters.
Who's going to protect them if we do not protect them?
That's the thing. And there's this mentality going around that women should be more careful. No, men should change. The problem isn't women. The problem is sisi wanaume, sisi ndo tunaua in the most numbers. So I think we need to discuss the psychology of murder from a psychiatric point of view, maybe analyze some danger signs and some traits.
Kuna watu wanasema, I'll give you, there's this so truth watchdog ana call them online, anamwambia shoti ni ngapi tupatane, and the lady comes without even asking without even taking like precautions.
It was that accessible.
Unaona?
It was that easy.
So ukisema ntonini, everyone has to protect themselves first. Like you have to put measures for your own safety.
You have to take care of yourself first before the community
takes care of you. Yes, we are, as everyone shoulders, the whole community shoulders a blame on this event, not victimizing the dead or the victims themselves, and saying that nyi madem ama nyi wanawake nyi ndio mko at fault. Juu, like you said, when you're tunafanya hiyo murder, example, this murder was the roysambu one, is reported to be a man of Nigerian
descent.
Yes, but also Kenyan men have also done it. It's not
the alleged the suspect for Wahu's murder
was John Matara.
I hear he is a repeat offender. Like he has been allegated
so
for
so
such
many
cases.
ladies have come up on social media, TikTok, saying that huyu jamaa alinishika peleka BNB and akanitishia akaniambia nimtumie do. So she sent him the money. So he's sending the money on jina tu ndio hii hapa.
Unaona like Rita's mode of death, how this guy was doing it. There was a time in Nigeria, in this Yahoo Boys things was coming up, and they were having like a lot of ritualistic behaviors to be able to get money. And then now you link this guy taking the head, like the trophy that you're saying.
Did he take private parts as well, or just the head?
I think it was just the head that is missing. The rest of the body only managed kupata, I think. But it was dismembered into different sides, like miguu huku, the torso here.
There's this one practice that I saw of how Nigerian, by me saying Nigerian men, it's not good because I'm generalizing, but the culprits who are of Nigerian
descent.
Yes. What they were doing is in this Kilimani Airbnbs, they'd ask girls to come over, they'd spend money on drinks, drugs, party, and then they want to make these girls come back again and again and again. So what they do is, just before they have sex, they put cocaine on their dicks. Then they go raw. And then now this woman gets addicted to
literally cocaine addiction.
So these are like ritualistic behaviors, because kwanza hiyo ya kuchukua kichwa.
What makes it worse is the Rita's is very unfortunate, but like it doesn't happen in. Okay, maybe she was a target. You never know, because this person named to maybe alikuwa na track, decided to see that this is my potential victim. Maybe it's all maybes. Nothing is certain. Okay, but for this other side of the vice, where we're looking at someone lacing their dick with coke. And coke is a highly potent drug. One time sniffing, there's a 90% chance of you getting addicted to it.
Yes.
Wachana sniffing, like if it gets in contact with any mucosal surface, so vagina is mucosal.
Yes.
So if he does lace enough cocaine on his dick, you will get addicted to that dick.
And unajua ni cocaine.
You don't know. It's just an impulse.
Yeah.
It's literally a physical impulse. Your pudesh is driving you to that man.
Yeah.
More than it's the dick, but it's some extra sauce.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
men are dangerous.
Yeah. So now to like our main agenda, psychology of murder. How do people become murderers? Because no one is born a murderer. No. People
grow into it.
Yes, people grow into becoming murderers. So we'll go into that. But before we go into that, our junior colleagues, about 1,031 of them, just finished medical school.
From different schools.
From different universities. And they have been waiting for posting for
more than 8 months.
For more than a year now. Yeah. And this is not something that was at imefanyika mara moja. This is like serial, even MOH are becoming serial
Repeat offenders.
repeat offenders of not posting. It started with us, you and I.
Yeah, I want to get vulgar, but let me control my feelings.
Yeah.
Since
They
we are
have
in a
not-
decorated...
yeah.
Hata maneno
It's
imeanza
getting
kukwama.
personal.
Wala imekuwa personal, I'm losing my words.
Na wanatukata 2.75% social health insurance fund. So wanatukata do, wale madaktari wangetutibu au waleti. Pesa inaenda wapi?
They don't employ doctors. They don't post doctors. See, this is the thing. When did you
You're getting
graduate?
taxed. You know your story. Money is coming regardless.
Pesa iko,
Yeah.
lakini ni nani anatumia? It's just those people who are already filthy, dirty, rich, depositing accounts in foreign offshore accounts, ndo wanakula tu zaidi.
Yeah. The social-
When did you graduate?
2022.
When were you posted?
2021, sorry.
2021. Mid of 2021, if I'm correct.
Yes, mid-2021.
When were you posted?
2022 August.
Mid 2022.
Yes. So that's
So you stayed at home for a year
one
plus.
full year doing nothing.
I graduated on December of 2021 from the University of Nairobi. I was posted same time as him, August of 2022. I stayed a bit shorter, 8 months. Now the current interns who have graduated from the University of Nairobi graduated on July of last year. They've been at home till now, and they're being told they might have to wait until July of this year when the new budget is read.
You know, like ikifanyika mara moja na sisi inakubalika. But
Next.
ilifanyika pia na wale wengine.
Next.
The
This
ones
is the
after us. This
third
is
or
the
fourth lot.
fourth lot.
Four
Yeah, so-
times over.
Ministry of Health and Susan Nakumicha, we are calling you guys out. Please post the junior doctors to their respective placement sites.
I don't think it should just be the CS of Health or the Ministry of Health that is just called out.
HR.
I think
Ule jamaa
the
ni
end-
kichwa sugu sana ule jamaa guy.
Getting emotional. Acha tunyamaze.
I think it's time that this trend ya kungoja should not just be that these people are the ones who are catered to because of social media pressures and stuff. No, it should be do the duties you're there to do. Serve the Kenyans you're there to serve.
You're paid to do.
Yes.
And you're paid over the top, because anyone in public office, especially Ministry of Health, hawasi wote wameomoka. Ukianga hiyo mafia house, uone magari zimepakiwa huko, chest pains.
Na tunakatwa 2.75% ya social health insurance fund. Now we're not seeing anything.
That sucks.
Yeah, it's a good, your social health insurance fund looks to be like a good initiative, but behind every good initiative,
The wrong people.
the wrong people. So now we go to psychology of murder as a topic, starting from now childhood. Dr. Don, maybe you can take us through how these people are born, which kind of families are they born into, how they develop, and how do they, what happens to them that influences them being murderers down the line.
Now, whatever we do mention here does not necessarily mean if you do see it in an individual, it will automatically mean this person will become a serial murderer or a femicide offender in the future. It's just signs that are indicative, danger signs that might need to be addressed in children for the long run and the short run.
It's probably a common point that have been seen in people
Recurrent points,
who have
based on study and research done by psychiatrists. Now, the first thing we need to know is the relationship in the family setting. But before we even go there, you need to break these down, these things that you might see. So there are behavioral traits, they are psychological traits, personality traits, environmental and social factors. We can divide it simply into that. So now let's start with behavioral traits that you might see in a child or an early teen that might lead you to think that this might not be a good sign and we need to address it before it gets out of hand when they do become adults or they have the capability to do what they can do. So number one is the family setup when it comes to behavioral traits. Poor family relationships. The men in the house. You need a father figure. Most of these households are single parent households where the mother is doing the raising
Where
of
the
this
mother is
boy.
doing the two jobs.
Yeah.
Being the father and the mother
And
at the same time.
And she won't do the best job. She can do a great job. I've been personally raised by a single mother. I appreciate how well I've come out, but it's not all round. They are amazing and brilliant women, but there are different types of women who might not take up that responsibility as good as they should.
I think with the point of single mothers, you do find that the way they got to be single mothers is a factor in itself. That there are those who just are in high school, pachikwa mimba, akaambiwa toka. You get that in its own is a trigger. Much as it's laid behind walls, it's a trigger.
So
And let me finish.
sorry.
And then you look at those women who have support systems. Yes, you're a single mother, but you have a support system with you. Chances are you're not as bad as the lady who has to stand out, like be the father and the mother, go look for food, get uniforms for school, get uniforms for school. Yeah, get uniforms for school, get like kutafuta hiyo chakula. You notice that it gets to a point where this mother has to look for other measures that involves even her doing prostitution. So it's a whole
And by
link
prostitution
of
comes
events that inafika a point where this child who is like 5 years old is now seeing the mother
being abused.
being abused by a client ambaye
Amekataa kulipa.
and inafika point where this mother is physically being beaten, and even a chance of that daughter being abused.
As well. And beat.
So
Raped and all.
But pointing on abuse, like abusive households, like where the father is an alcoholic or the father is physically aggressive to the mother and to the children, that is also a trigger factor for future maybe psychopathic or serial killer vibes. All of these things we're talking about does not automatically mean a person that has experienced these will become a serial killer, but it can contribute to the push, to the trigger. Yeah. Now we can continue with social isolation. A child who displays lack of social connections or lacks that social skills to bond with other children can be at risk of future development of like serial killer mentality.
Where they face rejection from their peers at school. They do not in play groups, no one wants to play with them.
being bullied.
Yeah, being bullied. Yeah.
Because even in America, most of those people who school shooters were bullied at school.
Yeah.
True.
Another thing is cruelty to animals.
Okay.
It's called zoosadism.
Sadism, yes.
Yeah. So where they get a pleasure out of torturing and killing animals. That's how it begins. A kid
Umeleta
who
paka nyumbani, unaona hiyo siku ya pili haiko.
it's gone. Ama you see corpses of doves. They break the dove's neck. Wanaanza kuikatakata, wanaingia ndani. That is some of the behavioral traits. Yeah.
What of what's this? Have you heard of conduct disorders among teen children?
Yes.
Those are in personality now traits. Now in personality traits, we can start with that one, the conduct, antisocial behavior disorders or behavior disorders like conduct behavior disorders. A child is just naturally rebellious.
Yeah, positionally defiant disorder. Go say na Raila ni hivi.
Unavunja unarudi mahali ulikuwa. Yeah, so also lack of empathy, a reduced ability to understand or share feelings, your feelings, and understanding the feelings of others. This child does not care about the feelings of his classmate, the feelings of his mother, father, his own feelings or her own feelings. They don't care about it. That's another danger sign that you need to address if you see in your child. You need to teach them how to express empathy. Feel empathetic. Lack of empathy is psychopathical behavior.
But not all psychopaths go and become
Serial
Serial killers.
Yep. Manipulative behavior. A person who is very manipulative has the ability now then to manipulate his victims in the future.
Yes, true. And the majority of people with manipulative kind of abilities are not rude. They are not
they are charming.
charming.
Like we were saying, Jeffrey Dahmer. Annie used to charm ladies and man them. But we know what he liked. Shtick.
Collect kama trophies.
Narcissism on the personality traits, inflated sense of self-importance and lack of regard for others' well-being. It's me. You need to address that because we are social creatures. We need to carry each other.
We all need one another.
We can go to the final one, environmental and social factors. Now, the first one is economic stress, which we've talked about. Economic stress, the current stresses of the economy. That's why the shoot of femicides has risen highly close to post-election violence from 2019.
Pesa hakuna.
Pesa hakuna. Ni matajiri walijiwekea pesa
If you
yote.
look at it like that graph just tells you 2007 we were good. Dollar was at a certain rate, very better rate than where we are at today. That means our government is failing. And if you look at the numbers, the way after your election violence happened, pop, spike, and then comes down, and then COVID hits, doa hakuna, tuibe. People have to survive, so they'll figure out ways of doing it. So as a nation, if we put people in power who do not know how to address our concerns,
These are the ripple effects of
these are the ripple effects.
Exactly. Another one is gender inequality, which is a huge gap, especially in Kenya, where societal norms that devalue women contribute to the prevalence of femicide. Okay? Cultural factors. Certain cultural beliefs and practices might indirectly support violence. You understand? Like how a patriarchal society
Which
might
cultural factors would you say?
like, that's an interesting question.
Which cultural factors? Like kuna this very Tom is a documentary filmmaker. Tom decided to make a documentary on people who fall in love and decide to get married, but later on down the line they start beating each other. Ama mwanaume anaanza kupiga mwanamke ama mwanamke anaanza kupiga mwanaume. So he was trying to find out the reasons behind why. So he made a documentary about it, and he interviewed a group of men, and this group of men were from the Luya community. Walikuwa naambiwa ile siku ya kwanza mwanamke anaingia kwa nyumba lazima umtandike. Na anaambiwa hivyo na nani? Na mama yake. Bwana ndo anaambiwa hivyo na mama yake, lazima umtandike ndo ajue nani ndio authority.
I thought that shit was a joke you guys used to make. Kuna boys fulani best yangu, I won't mention his name because he's married now. Alikuwa anasemaga wazee, mimi nikioa bibi yangu siku ya kwanza napiga videvu tena nakuwa mpole afterwards. Ndo aniogopange as I cross the lines. Me, I thought that shit was a joke because he used to say it as a joke. Kumbe kwa ground vitu ni different.
Yeah. So now this kid has grown to be a teenager. He's grown from childhood. He's having these traits. He's going to become a teen, and he's going through adolescence. And in adolescence now, he's having other desires. Tuambie vitu kidogo kuhusu teenagehood kama into nini in relation to the sexual desires. He's being rejected by women, you know?
True.
Yeah.
I think before I start the teenagehood bit, there's a big question on majority of people would be asking themselves is psychotic behaviors, psychopathy, the tendency to become a serial killer or a murderer, is it something that you can inherit genetically? And to fully ascertain that in Kenya, no, I don't think a study of that sort has been done. In the US, Minnesota, by a guy called Professor, I think, Thomas Joseph, he did a study and he noted that there is a genetic component to it where the gene that tries to control the hormone monoamine oxidase, gene A, something like that, is the one which is most affected. So there is a bit of biochemical issues that is going on, can contribute to this. But leaving that behind, 60% of those people who had that had a tendency to edge towards psychotic issues with tendency to become serial killers later on in their lives. And coming down now to the teenagers, and childhood trauma from how they were raised up, and societal pressures where they have to match up to a certain standard of living, where ameona boy is on a ball, how is he getting his money? It's either I get it, I have to get it. That pressure.
Now the rituals and so in get money come in.
That money has to come in. I need to get all these fine chicks coming for me for the money. You get that pressure is there. So this guy will go follow ways which at some point is going to cost him and end up doing things which are basically this, cause a rise in murder and be a victim of the trend, and in the long run cause the death of a soul or a life. And you also look at substance related issues. The number of children who vape now is quite high. It's unfortunate. Me, I work in a clinic. I see quite a number of teens who come with chest conditions. So kidogo kidogo, you just inquire, unapiga tu story now. Kupiga story now unasikia niko na ile
mambo yetu.
niko na ile mambo yetu. So
na mabangi ngapi zinashikwa kwa shule
Yeah.
mtoto akiletwa.
This generation and our generation, there's stark difference
very different.
in a short period of time. Yeah.
But I think we are to blame because we are setting this. We're the ones who are setting examples for them.
Precursors.
Yeah.
Now, wanatuona tukiwa
Ngoja, I have a question. Should we blame?
Carry forward.
Yeah. So Sisi, it comes now to as we came up with the rise of social media, TV, and then we see gangsters wanapiga bangi, wanajibamba. Movies have come
It's
in.
put out as the
Smoking.
cool way.
You've seen Tommy Shelby, the way he smokes. That nigga will make you want to smoke at that particular moment. Talking about TV shows, you mentioned there's this young kid, now you can dwell on it, that he acted out a movie that he watched called Killing Eve, where and that can contribute to social factors where when kids watch a certain form of entertainment for too long, they may actually become addicted to it. Just like the way people get addicted to porn. People might think that these social things like watching TV and watching porn, you don't get addicted to it, but it's possible. What's your take on that?
I think it's not just TV shows. It's games, mobile games, PC games. The gaming world is diverse now. Everyone is live stream. You're learning how to shoot. You're learning how to fly a plane. And that is a consistent picture that's put in your head. And remember, you're growing up. You'll always get a trigger through your life where it's either a jealousy situation. You have a girlfriend, she breaks up with you, and she goes and finds a man who is, if you feel like hapana. So you have that intent to go and lynch either the man or the woman, or both. You watch the movies. The movie is all about how cool coke, drinking, smoking is made to look on TV. And the part where I think we should take the blame is how accessible we've made these shows for our kids. Not just that when they clock in the teen years, this is when they get a little bit rebellious and they want to see what you've been trying to push them from not seeing. But depends again on your parenting skills. As a parent, how good are you at protecting your child from certain vices? And it's a big topic to talk about.
Yeah. So ukiangalia pia in teenagehood, and when this are now, there's the rise of sexual desires from adolescents being addicted to porn, and now you're trying to translate this sexual desires into actually physical engagements with women, and you get rejected. And because you cannot handle rejection, you develop a resentment to
the person who said it, and women as well.
So you develop resentment to women in general. So moving on again from teenagehood, now you're an adult. This person is an adult. He has had all these factors that have been influencing him, and has seen or has had a trigger. Maybe it was like a breakup, and has now decided, I want to finish this person off. So that one has there's something that is motivating him towards committing this. But then there's this one who does not have any relationship to this person, but decides, let me kill this person as well.
And that it happens a lot in our Somali community. People might underestimate it. Back in the days, I think 4 or 5 years ago, there's this young man who was rejected by a beautiful Somali lady. He was Somali as well. Alimwagilia acid. I don't know if you remember that story in Isli.
Isli. I remember a fight that broke out. Adi msichana kuja hosi yetu.
Alimwagiwa acid.
I don't remember the acid bit, but I remember it was a man in between the two, but it was two ladies who were fighting.
No, me, I know a man mwenye alimwagilia dem. It was all over social media. Alimwagilia dem acid. Like, these gender-based crimes are mainly a man who's either jealous or has been told no. Just like acts on an impulse.
Upude shida peleka watu mbio.
Yeah. So now to go to the final bit now of our pod. What can we do to prevent this or to reduce this?
I think it's good we have a breakdown for it in terms of what you as an individual should do, in terms of what you as a parent should do, in terms of what you as a member of the community should do, in terms of what the government now needs to do. If you look at it from what you as an individual needs to do is try to obtain like a life with a curfew in a way. And there's a series I used to watch that says nothing good happens after midnight. Nothing good happens after midnight. So yes, our midnight is a bit far-fetched, but if you're young, ages of 6, from anyone below 18, I'd say 21. 21, wewe by saa 4 kuwa kwenu. It's that simple. And you might be schooling, uko boarding school, don't pass your perimeter yako by saa 4. That's one way to live. You're protecting yourself. And 2, the choice of friends and who is in your circle. You should have a say in people who you accept into your life. That's one way of protecting yourself. And basically being smart about the decisions you make in terms of the substances you've decided to use, because obviously there'll be curiosity as a youth, as
Online strangers.
Yes. Now the social media part of it, the fact that Rita, may God rest her soul, and was lured through social media makes it a bit of a hot point of discussion.
Man, Tinder, Muzmatch, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Like there's so many places where mtu anaweza kuingilia, as a woman especially. This is to my ladies. Y'all are the prize. Especially now that we as men are supposed to pursue women. So when you're being pursued, it's nature, it's natural for the man to pursue a woman. When you're being pursued, you need to know this person. You just don't link up with a person that you met on Instagram or on Tinder in a house. It's not wise. Always meet in public places until you feel safe enough and you know the intentions of the person.
And the person is known.
Watu wanaweza track waseme msichana yetu ako na huyu.
And the
Like you
person
tell
is
your
known.
friends, I'm with this person, and they know their friends, they know their lineup.
What about now, Ntonini, what the government? Gava serikali.
We haven't finished that with
Right,
like
from
the
the
community
perspective.
There's community awareness, public awareness campaigns. What we are doing now, we need to educate the public on signs of potential violence and gender-based violence, signs of someone who might have the potential to develop these traits, and to intervene before these traits develop, to rehabilitate a person who might have had altercations with violence and gender-based violence, because no human is perfect, and even imperfect humans can be guided back to a normal sense of humanity. You understand me? So public awareness.
So a support system for these people should be created.
Yes, mental health and counseling services should be present for the survivors of gender-based violence.
And can I ask a question? How many of our public schools have counselors?
Yes, education programs in schools, very important. Very few. I went through public school system. There was no counseling. There was no health
Even some
systems.
private schools don't have counselors.
I remember when sexual health was supposed to be introduced into the curriculum, and the religious scholars said no. But it's very important.
Lazima ufunzwe. Like I know in our house we never talked about sexual health and like sex as a topic.
Tumejulia kwa streets.
Na tumekaa sana.
Ilikuwa class. Ilikuwa ile kitabu ilikuwa like which class?
Class 6.
Yeah.
Class six.
The female and the male reproductive. That's when they start coming out. The streets start training and grooming you. Unaonyesha kwa kitabu how the most beautiful thing in the world looks. How unaonyesha Da Vinci art. So you start falling in love with that.
Yeah.
That was like the most prized possession.
Yeah, so you're very right, Muhyiddin. We need like counseling and like counseling programs in our schools, starting from primary school, secondary school, where there are counselors and people who have knowledge on these things. Be with children, educate them, enlighten them.
I think it's not just the presence of a counselor in a school. I think one way the government should look to it, or the owner of a school should look at it from, is having your teachers, the people who are giving this education, the primary lecturers, to have an understanding, however minute it would be, of psychology, to identify an autistic child, to identify a child who has
anxiety,
to be able, such that this teacher can be able to understand that this boy is undergoing through some anxiety problems, such that this boy is spiraling down because of influence of drugs, such that this lady is having some psychological issue related to her boyfriend, in order to sort that out mapema before it even gets to it escalates. Yes, I think that's a very, very important
point.
policy
Very
the
important.
government should think about, the school owners should think about. Parents should reinforce that these lecturers who are giving out this education should be people who are self-conscious and more aware about conditions which slowly pick up through
Pile up.
your child's experiences as they grow up.
So which means now the teachers are the first people who can notice these signs. So the teachers also should be taught.
educated.
Yes, they need to know.
Curriculum yao.
They need to know.
Or maybe they put psychologists. Every school should have a psychologist.
Who educates the teachers as well.
How many? That's why I'm saying, if you look at how many schools are employing the psychologists,
None.
Hakuna. Kila mtu ako money saving.
but everyone is
money
employing the teachers. Teach this teacher psychology.
Yep.
So basically, in summary, we've covered the introductory bit.
No, like to the camera.
We've covered the introductory bit. This is Laughing Lab Coat. Make sure you do like, subscribe.
Finish.
Yes, this is still important. Make sure you do like,
Part
subscribe,
two.
share. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Music. We're everywhere now. If there's any other platforms, tutaingia pia. And we've discussed the psychology of murder and what Kenya's numbers look like. Maybe the one thing we forgot in terms of Kenya's position, in terms of homicide rates globally, where it's at.
At least you are better than South Africa.
We're better than some South American countries.
We are better than a lot of countries.
We're better than a lot of countries, but still
But we need to
better
follow
doesn't
statistics.
Yes, we need to.
What is
really
better
know.
for us?
Have you seen that video trending of South African goons with guns who are like
South
wale
Africa.
DCI wakionyesha hiyo video
South
wanawashika
Africa ni gang
in
blast.
very fast. By the way, you have to appreciate Kenya's security kidogo.
Kenyan security, like it needs to do better. Like so, these things shouldn't be happening generally. Shouldn't be happening generally. Just because we are better than another person doesn't mean you should stop where you are at. Always better yourself. And we've discussed sad demise of some members of our community as a doctor, and we've discussed the untimely death and gruesome murder to a point where a pathologist with over 20 to 30 years of experience is saying, I've never seen anything like this. We've discussed and how new members in the Kenyan society are from West African side, specifically Nigerian descent. I'm not saying not all Nigerian men, but the few who are here are not really portraying a good picture about their country. And
There are as well good Nigerians.
but there are
in
good
Kenya.
Nigerians. Yeah, obviously there are good Nigerians globally, not just in Kenya. But it's already being linked from previous documentaries that were being shown of what Nigerians do in Kenya to the new practices they are bringing, the rituals that's making young Kenyans want to be like them. We've talked about now the pathophysiological side of murder in itself, how certain societal pressures, experiences through childhood, school, all the way through teenagehood into adult life, how it can affect someone into doing an act that is unholy. And we've also looked at what roles should an individual have, what mentality should an individual have in order to protect his own self from such gruesome situations. or even trying to avoid being caught in such environments or such scenarios. And maybe there are those who are targets, but some of them are not really targets. They're just to be victims of circumstances, wrong time, wrong place, wrong person. And we've looked at what the community needs to do. We need to have more light on where the government roles play in. And I think, yes, our police and security team is doing good, department is doing good, but there is a lot that needs to be addressed, because you'll find kuna double agents, people who work both for the government and both for the crook side. You'll find kuna watu who are not really appreciative of what the government is doing for them, so that's their driving force for them to go into this and becoming murderers and what is it called, hired killers, contract killers basically. And you'll find ushaiuliza salary ya polisi?
I know ni kidogo sana. So,
this is the guy who has been handed a gun to protect you.
na halipwi poa.
Definitely
there are people who will misuse the gun.
Whenever okay, obviously everyone sees this.
That gun will not give you food.
That gun will not give you food.
Yeah, yes, it is a weapon, but ile siku your kids need school fees or your kid needs something, the gun will not provide. It'll just be a piece of metal.
It will be a piece of metal, true, but the person who is wielding it, at what level can he withhold himself back from going into things that can give him the resources to take care of his kids? How many policemen have that bravery of saying, I'm doing this because I wanted to do this. I've always wanted to be the good guy and not the bad guy. And how many of them will be turned from being the good guy into a bad guy because of the situations they're in?
Yeah, but you have to commend the Kenyan police though. I feel like they do their best, man.
See, everyone knows this. Unaonanga mati napita mse ako.
Achana na traffic.
Still.
What that's
Kenyan part police, of it.
The first thing they always think of ni the AP, GSU, traffic. Na ukiangalia hizo tatu, they're associated with GSU vita wakati ya riot, traffic police hongo, na the other ones AP wako kushika barabarani. But there's more arms of the Kenyan police. Wako, it's huge. That's the good thing about studying in Tumishi. You actually see these people, their lives, they live on Aishi. Like Medin was saying, their houses are not good. And these are people who you're giving weapons to protect our community. Look at how DCI's response is usually timely.
Man.
On Twitter, have you seen DCI's response? How many thugs have wameshikwa? Juzi, the Kawira Mwangaza case, the son case, sniper, the blogger from Meru County.
Yep.
Washapeleka mtu nini, you suspect. They already have a main suspect on the final investigations. Everything now is in court.
Now, this is where the point comes. If you don't motivate the workforce behind security, security will not be at its best level.
Kuna kitu moja, if one thing, so tukimalizia, one thing before tumalizie,
we need answers. That's what I think. Like, we need people in those positions of investigative power to decide when to pursue, who to pursue, and how they pursue them. Evidence, these are fingerprints and all those, like scientific based.
So I think, let me cut you off. I think tumepiga a lot of time. That has been it from us, guys. Me, Elias Mohammed.
Me, Dr.
Elias Mohammed.
Dr. Muhyiddin, Dr. Mo.
Dr. Dimbil.
That has been us from Laughing Lab Coat. Please like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. You guys, we are looking forward to a very, very nice and long year. We will be seeing more of us, hopefully, and us more of you.
We'll have a good discussion and a good time.
Always repeat this. Like, subscribe, share. Tuma kwa hata yule mse wa nduthi wewe upanda sema hawa vijana lazima wasikize. There's something going on in this country that needs to be addressed, and every Kenyan needs to be informed about it.
Yeah, if you ever had any
When it
like
comes
medical
to mental
questions, if you want us to address like medical conditions, drop the topics down in the comments. We will address it. We'll teach you a lot about it that you cannot learn on the internet.
Yeah,
Cheers.